In this lab, split into two parts, we're going to learn about Active Directory as we explore the Azure Active Directory sandbox. Active Directory is like a big phone book for your computer network. It keeps track of all the people and devices that are allowed to use the network and what they're allowed to do. Administrators like you and I can use Active Directory to make sure that only the right people have access to the right things. The different parts of Active Directory work together to keep everything organized. The forest is like the whole phone book, and it contains all the information about everything on the network. The domains are like different sections of the phone book for different groups of people or devices related by something. It could be company, it could be location, it depends on how the place you work uses it. Let's use intertechwarrior.com as an example domain. The top level domain is for the whole company Intertech Warrior. The trees help organize the domains into a hierarchy, like how a family tree shows how people are related. So each tree shares the same namespace. For example, if the top level domain was intertechwarrior.com, the top of the tree would be intertechwarrior.com, and one branch could be the subdomain newyork.intertechwarrior.com, while another subdomain could be newjersey.intertechwarrior.com, separating the office locations, but being in the same domain tree. Objects are like individual entries in the phone book. They can represent all kinds of things like people, printers, or computers. Each object has detailed information about it, like a person's name or phone number. So in the intertechwarrior.com example, we could have an object for my user account, Tony Picarillo, and the object details would show my work location, my email, my department, etc. We could also have an object that represents my laptop. Some of the details of the laptop X4 computer object would be the operating system, the location of the laptop, and who the laptop belongs to. So the schema is like the rules for what can go in the phone book. So it defines what kind of objects can exist and what information can be stored about them. For example, in a TechWarrior.com schema says we can have user objects and computer objects. For the user accounts object, our schema says we can store information like their name, email, work location, and department. For the computers object, our schema says we can store information like the computer name, location, who the computer belongs to, and its operating system. Think of schema like the blueprint that helps us organize all the information in our domain. Access control is like the security guard for the phone book. It makes sure that only authorized people can see or change the information in the phone book. Azure Active Directory is like a special version of Active Directory that works in the cloud. It lets administrators control access to cloud applications and resources, just like they can with a regular Active Directory. Since Azure Active Directory is in the cloud, instead of having to set up and manage your own servers to run Active Directory, you can just use Azure Active Directory to manage your organization's identities and access from the cloud. Just like with regular Active Directory, administrators can use Azure AD, Azure Active Directory, to control access to resources and apply policies across an organization. But with Azure AD, these resources can include cloud apps and resources as well as traditional on-premises resources. For example, let's say Intertech Warrior uses Microsoft 365, which is a cloud-based service. With Azure AD, you can manage the employees' access to Microsoft 365 and other cloud-based services from one place. You could set up rules to control who can access which apps and data, and apply security policies to help protect the organization's information. In a traditional on-premises Active Directory environment, there are physical servers called domain controllers that run the Active Directory domain services, or the ADDS. Azure AD, on the other hand, is a cloud-based identity and access management service, so it provides similar capabilities to on-premises Active Directory, but without the need to deploy and manage physical domain controllers. Azure AD also provides features like single sign-on, which lets our employees use one set of login credentials to access multiple cloud applications. This makes it easier for them to work with different apps and services without having to remember multiple usernames and passwords. We learned that Active Directory is like a big phone book for your computer network, keeping track of all the people and devices that are allowed to use the network. We also learned about the different parts of Active Directory, including the forest, domains, trees, objects, schema, and access control. Finally, we learned about Azure Active Directory and how it provides similar capabilities to on-premises Active Directory, but in the cloud. With Azure AD, administrators can control access to cloud apps and resources, and use features like single sign-on to make it easier for employees to work with different apps and services. So, in the next part of the lab, we're going to explore a sandbox version of Active Directory. See you there!